Hey guys, today we're going to get started with how to use Excel. This is a really basic video. We're going to get started like from the very first intro screen, and we're going to cover everything that has to do with columns and cells and rows and pretty much the very essential basics. At the very end of this video, we're going to have finished a little household budget for you to actually work with. Okay, now this is a very essential, very basic video. If you're at all familiar with Excel, I recommend you skip over to the next video in the playlist, because this is going to be like really essential. But if you've never touched Excel, if this is like your first exposure to Excel, then yeah, start with this. You're going to get pretty much everything, all of the basics down with this video. Alright guys, let's get started. Excel for absolute beginners. If you're just waking up from your 20-year coma, which as I said, I'm going to assume you are, then this is going to be the first screen that you see whenever you open up Excel. On this side, on the left, you're going to see a bunch of files, which are pretty much the files that you have used recently. So if you forgot where you saved some file, or pretty much you need quick access to somewhere, you can just click here and it's going to open up that file. Now, on this part, this is where you have all the stuff that you can access. All of these are templates for you to do monthly budgets or household budgets or calendars. Pretty much just an infinite variation of budgets and calendars. But this one, the blank workbook, that's the one that you want, all right? This is where you're going to be doing most of your work. So go ahead and click on the blank workbook and let's get started. This is going to lead. Okay, so this is pretty much your work area in Excel. This is what you're going to be living with 99% of the time. It's really simple and intuitive to use, but let's get started on something very basic, which is the Excel structure of files. Excel works with something called workbooks, all right? Just like in Word you have documents, and in PowerPoint you have presentations, in Excel you have workbooks. And it's pretty much the entire collection of everything that you have here. Each workbook has worksheets, all right? And you can notice how many worksheets you have in a workbook by looking at the number of tabs down here, all right? Check out my cursor. Right now we have only one worksheet. If I press on the plus button, we get a second worksheet. And if I press on this plus button again, we get a third worksheet. And I can cycle through each one of these worksheets by pressing on their name right here, all right? Now, within each worksheet, we have this blank canvas, which is the actual spreadsheet, all right? The part where you're going to be typing in all of your numbers, your formulas, your functions, and get a result back. Each of the worksheets are composed of columns. So columns are given by letters, column A, column B, column C, column D, and so on, until you get to the very end, column X, F, D. I dare say you'll never, ever get to use these columns, all right? I mean, rarely ever do you have a file that extends so far to the right. And we also have rows. Row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and so on, all right? You have 1,048,000 rows. It is likely, I mean, if you work at places like retail or stuff like that, maybe sometimes, eventually, you're going to hit that limit, all right? It's rare, but it actually happens. Okay, guys, so you know that these are columns, these are rows, and this little icon, these little boxes here that I'm clicking on all over the place, those are called cells, all right? So you have columns, rows, cells, and all of this compose your worksheet. Now, each one of these cells are going to contain pretty much any kind of information that you want. So say, if I wanted to type in something here that says, for example, hello world, then I just need to click on the cell and start typing. If I want to type in a number, just select the cell and start typing, 1, 2, 3, all right? And if I wanted to type in something a little bit larger, say, I'm having chicken dinner tonight, then there you go. Okay, one thing that you'll notice is that sometimes the data contained within the cell, such as this sentence, is going to be larger than the G column, all right, than the column. So what can I do in that instance? Well, I can adjust column size, all right? I'm not married to this particular column width. If I want to adjust column size, there's a very simple way to do it. Just go ahead and move your mouse cursor in between G and H. Notice how in the border between G and H, my mouse cursor, which is normally a white cross, is going to change into this little black bar. White cross, black bar. Once you see the black bar, you can click on the border, and with the mouse still clicked, Then you can drag the bar all the way out to the right and extend it to make sure that your sentence fits within the column width, all right, within the G column. Now, that's pretty much the basics for Excel. Now you know how to start typing and stuff. Now, guys, let's name this worksheet, all right? This is pretty much your first worksheet, so let's give it a name. Go back down here and double click on where it says sheet 1. All right, I'm going to double click right here where it says sheet 1, and it's going to open up that tab for editing. All right, so I can type in any name that I want. And right now that name is going to be my first worksheet. And then you press enter at the very end. Okay. So now you know the very essential concepts in Excel. You could get going and start typing in stuff and maybe play a little bit around. Maybe play around a little bit with just typing stuff and getting to know the controls, the columns, the rows, and moving between worksheets. Now, with your first worksheet done, let's move on to sheet number 2. And we're going to set up a really small, really simple budget in order to get you to understand all of the elemental concepts of Excel, all right? So the first thing that I want you to do is change the name for this worksheet, and it's going to be called monthly budget, all right? Press enter, and there we go. Now this is going to be my monthly budget. The first thing that we're going to set up for this monthly budget is going to be a title. So go ahead and let's do it in cell B7, all right? In cell B7, you're going to type in, select B7 and start typing in monthly budget, okay? As soon as you finish typing, you press enter, and you'll notice that the data stays there. Now, this is going to be our title, so we need to make it big and fancy. Select your cell B7, go ahead up here, and let's change the font. You change the font right here in the Home tab, and then click where it says Calibri, and let's go look for something else. Say, for example, Franklin Gothic DMICon, all right? So scroll down, select Franklin Gothic DMICon, and click on it. And notice that now we have a different font. It looks a little bit fancier. I really like that font. All right, with that font selected, now we're going to make monthly budget larger. There's 2 ways to go about that. The first one is just selecting this number right here and say changing it to a larger number. Notice how as I change it to a larger number, I get a preview of how it's going to end up looking. I'm going to change it back to 11. The second option is clicking on this large A right here with an arrow up on top, and this is going to increase my font size. So every click I do, every time I click on it, it gets larger and larger and larger. All right? So let's leave it as 48. Let's leave it as a 48. Now, guys, notice how this is written in column B, and one letter barely fits there, much less the entire monthly budget. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to make the title either I could go ahead and extend column B right here and make it large, but that's going to mess up the rest of my budget. My second option would be to do something that's called merge and center. I'm going to select a bunch of cells and I'm going to combine them to make one big mega cell where the title can sit in comfortably, okay, comfortably. So say for example, I'm going to grab everything from B7 and I'm going to click on B7 and I'm going to leave the mouse, the mouse pressed, all right, the mouse button pressed. And then I am going to extend my selection all the way out to H7 or whatever it is that I want the title to fit. With the selection extended, then I'm going to head up ahead and click on merge and center, all right? Click merge and center right here. And notice how now I have one big cell, all right? One big cell, plus the title was centered right here. Okay, so now you know how to create big fancy titles in Excel. However, you're not going to get paid at work for creating big fancy titles. I wish it were. But no, what's going to happen is that now we're going to set up the budget. Now, in the United States, well, the first thing that we need to do is type in an income, all right? Income. So, in the United States, the median income for a worker is somewhere about $3,200. Now, the United States is a world unto itself, so, I mean, that's pretty much for an average worker. It doesn't matter if it's high school or college or man or woman or what state, whatever. It's just $3,200 per month. That's the average income for an American worker. So that's going to be our income. Notice how I just typed income and I typed in $3,200. However, notice that it's giving you a currency sign. I sort of glossed over that, and let me show you how it's going to work. I'm going to type in another $3,200 right here, and that's how a normal number looks. However, if you wanted to go ahead and add the currency sign, then go over to the Home tab and then click right here where it says Accounting Number Format. Just click on it. And there you go. You have the currency added, $3,200. All right? Okay, so that's good on the income. Now, let's keep adding other stuff. I'm going to say, for example, add rent. And, well, it really depends on where you live in America. Say, for example, we could go ahead and assume you're paying $400 a month for rent. I'm not exactly sure where you would achieve that in the United States, but yeah, let's assume it's feasible. So rent, $400. Go ahead and click on the accounting number format, and there we go. Okay, now what other expense do you need? Well, you need to eat. So food. Food is expensive in America, so let's budget $800 a month for food. Let's select our food cell right here and add the number formatting. What else do you need? Transportation. Let's select, click here, and add, I don't know, $500 for transportation. And, I don't know, utilities. You know, power, water, internet, the basics of life. That's going to be like another $200. And finally, let's add some fun. All right. So for fun, we're going to be spending $300 a month in going out and like eating and partying and stuff like that. And let's see if we haven't overstepped our budget. All right. We don't want to be spending more than we're earning. How would we go about doing that quickly? Well, there's something pretty nifty in Excel. If I select this entire range of cells, okay, notice how I selected this entire range of cells, I'm going to get a small summary down here of what's going on. An average of $450 per expense, a count of 5, and a sum of $2,200, all right? A sum of $2,200 being spent. I know my income is $3,200, so I'm still good. All right, so I'm going to budget savings every month of $800, and I should have a little bit left over for anything that comes up. Okay, so let's do a total expenses line. Okay, total expenses. Now, guys, there's several ways to go about doing this. I once met some person that actually grabbed all of the data and then added it all up with a hand calculator and then wrote the result right here. All right. That person was clearly missing the point of what Excel is capable of. The point of Excel is that it's going to do the operation for you. It's going to do a calculation for you. Now, there's two ways to do it. The first one is I'm going to type in the following. I'm going to type in equals, and with the equals, I'm telling Excel I'm going to start a formula. So anything that goes after the equal sign, make sure that you take it as a formula. All right, it can be an addition, a subtraction, division, or multiplication, the basics that you learned in elementary school. So I am going to start by doing the following. Press equals and then select the 400. And notice that it says F11. Why? Because Excel is telling you that it's going to grab whatever is written in F11 and it's going to include it in formula. Then I'm going to press the plus sign, plus F12. All right. Okay, plus F13 plus the rest of them. Notice how it's taking me a little bit of a while adding up all of these cells, all these 6 cells, and getting that my total expenses round up to $3,000. I'm $200 below budget. But the point here is not whether you're in budget or not. It's whether you can actually add up all of these numbers, all right? Now, that was one way to go about it. If I didn't like the way I did it, because I don't. I mean, this is a really, this is the long way to go about it. There's another way, a better way. Now, I'm going to get rid of this formula. How would I do that? Well, there's a select the cell that you want to delete. And there's a button on your keyboard called delete or suppress, all right? Super. So go ahead and press delete, not backspace, delete. And you're going to empty the cell of its contents, all right? So the cell is now clear. Now, with that done, what you're now going to do is type in the following. just select the cell that you want, head up here to Home, and you'll notice there's this little button right here that says Auto Sum. All right, so click on it. Click on Auto Sum, and it's going to try and add up all the data that you had up front. All right, all the data that you had up here. It's going to tell you that the data that it's adding up is from F11 to F16, which is what we wanted. But in case we didn't like it, in case we don't like what it's suggesting, then you can just press backspace and type in a new address. Say, for example, F13 to F16. The the 2 points here, the double semicolon or whatever it is that you call it, that's what telling Excel start in F13 and then go to F16. All right. So whatever it is that you type, you have to give it a starting address, F11, 2 points, F16. All right. Press enter, and there we go. We have the total expenses all added up. The result is the same. The way that you go about doing it, well, that's what's different. All right. That's what's different. All right, guys. So now that we have the total expenses calculated, we need to type in equals. You're going to select your income and you're going to press minus total expenses. All right. So I'm doing a very, very, very simple subtraction here. Started with the equals, tell Excel that we're going to start with a formula. Select F9 because that's my income, and then subtract minus the total expenses. That's it. That's it. Press enter and you have $200. Okay, guys. With that said and done, now we have our monthly budget. Now, I don't know where in America you can get by with these numbers. I suppose there's some town out there in the middle of nowhere in Montana. But I know that people from New York are cringing right now because there's no way you can live on $3,000 a month. Okay, guys. Now, what we want to do is make this monthly budget beautiful. Make it pretty and presentable. So, what's going to happen? Well, first things first, let's start by adding some formatting. Say, for example, the income being a top line, go ahead and select everything that goes from C9 to F9. That's your income. I'm going to go over here, and we have a bunch of styles here, and notice that this little arrow has like a line on top. Click on it. That's going to give you the More menu, and it's going to give you a bunch of different styles that you can select. So this being the top line, I'm going to select Blue Accent 1. All right, it's the bottommost blue thing. Press here, and there we go. We've added a simple style. You can play around with all of these other styles. I mean, and they're pretty useful. I usually just use them instead of inventing my own. Now, if I wanted to get a little bit more creative, we have these buttons right here, which work pretty much the exact same way you would expect from Word or from PowerPoint. So, for example, I can make this being the top line, I can make it bold. I can make it cursive, and I can underline it. All right, so there we go. We have our income, and we have our income number. Now, for the total expenses, I'm going to get original. Instead of using one of the styles here, I'm going to make up my own. How would I go about doing that? Well, pretty simple. This paint bucket here is going to show me the fill color, all right? So click on, not the paint bucket, but the little arrow besides the paint bucket. Click there, and you get a whole plethora of colors that you can use. So say, for example, I don't like any of this. So I'm going to head over to more colors, and I'm going to get real creative here, and I can select any from this hexagon. So let's pick something that's really psychedelic. Say, for example, this shade of sickly pale green. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this black color for the font, it's not working for me. So in order to change the font color, go ahead and click on this arrow besides the A. Okay, this arrow that's beside the A. And let's select another font color, something that's really hard to see and it's offensive to the eyes. Say, for example, this orange stuff. And let's make it bold. All right, this is hideous. Never do that in real life. But I just want to exemplify how you can choose different background colors and different fonts. All right. Now, this makes it really hard to read, but I mean, I don't know if that's your design choice. I'm not here to judge. All right, the remaining money, we can also use some of the predefined styles. Say, for example, this total right here. Okay, and okay, I'm sorry, this is really working me up. Let's use one of the predefined styles, say orange. Okay, guys. So there we go. We have our monthly budget. It looks a little bit nice. Now, one of the final things that we can do is head over to remove this, the grid lines, all right? Now, the grid lines have a special way to get them removed. Head over to View, head over to a View tab right here, and then click on the grid lines, okay? Click on the grid lines. There we go. Whenever the box is checked, then the grid lines show up, and whenever the box is unchecked, the grid lines disappear, all right? So now our monthly budget looks a little bit easier to read. Now, one last thing, let's enclose it all in borders. Now, borders are big in Excel. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, I know why. Let me show you. Select the entire table without the title. Select the entire table. Head over to Home. And notice this little button over here. It's going to become your new best friend. You're going to click on the little arrow besides the button. And you're going to get all of the possible borders that you can add. So go ahead and let's add thick outside borders. These are the ones I like the most. You have all these options. You can play with those later, but I'm going to add the thick outside borders. All right, there we go. I've added the borders and I have my item here. Okay, guys. Now, let us suppose we needed to move the entire table, including the title. Well, just the table, actually. We needed to move it somewhere else. So you're going to go ahead and select the table. Say, for example, we needed to copy it from C9, which is where it starts, to P9. All right, so select the entire table, then go ahead and click copy right here, and then select P9, which is where we have to place a copy. So just go ahead and click paste. All right, paste. And there we go. We've copied the entire table. Now, one thing that you have to note. The income and the total expenses are showing up as a bunch of hashtags, all right? They're not showing up as the actual numbers. Why? Excel is telling us they don't fit in the column, all right? They don't fit in the column. So go ahead and select the column that's offending you and make it a little bit wider. You already know how to do that. Just select the column and widen it, and there we go. They're showing up. Okay, now you already know how to copy and paste. If we wanted to do something else like cut and paste, that's really simple. Let's cut the title from here and paste it right here in the middle, all right? So select your title, go ahead and click cut, and let's paste it in L7. Cut, select L7, paste, all right? And there we go. The title is, well, not exactly in the middle, but it's going to do fine, okay? And well, guys, with that said, that's pretty much it. Everything that you need to know about the basics of Excel, all right? You know how to move in Excel, you know how to set up some really simple Excel templates, and you know how to do some of the really simple Excel formulas. With all of this said and done, you're free to move on to the next few videos of the Excel tutorial, and there you're going to learn, well, the difficulty curve is going to ramp up severely, all right? There's a reason why Excel merits its own course, whereas Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint, you can master them in like an afternoon. Excel, you can work years and years in Excel, and you're still going to be finding new stuff because it's incredible the amount of things that this program can do. So guys, make sure that you study this, make sure that you know it down cold. There's really no excuse for not knowing anything that I just talked about in the video. And in the next few videos of the course, you are going to actually learn how to do a bunch of really interesting stuff. You started this video as an absolute beginner. By the end of the last video, you're going to be, well, not an expert, but at least an advanced Excel user. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I see you next time. Do you want to be an Excel god? Our online course will turn you into an Excel master in only 90 days. Excel is the most important tool in the office, but almost nobody knows how to use it. Most people dive right into Excel with no formal training and never use the right tools. And thus, they end up delivering messy reports that are full of mistakes, and they end up hating their jobs. In reality, Excel is really simple to use and can do your job for you, if you know how to use it. But you have to pick the right place to learn from, or you'll only end up more confused with all of the different tools and functions that Excel has to offer you. So, what can you do? Our Excel course is tailor-made for you. We're going to teach you Excel, all of Excel, using real-life examples. From simple exercises to full-fledged business case studies. Take the online course and you'll be an Excel god in only 90 days. The course consists in more than 45 lessons and 15 case studies, all with their detailed solutions completely recorded in video. And you're going to be able to access them whenever you want, whatever you want. Best of all, you're going to have lifetime access to the course, and you're going to get any of the updates that we're constantly putting out for free. Even better, when you get our course, you'll have free access to our full Visual Basic and Macros course, and also to our Power BI course, all with just one single purchase. More than 3,000 students have passed through our classrooms. We've attended companies like Kodak, IBM, Cemex, HP, Continental, DB Schenker, and more. So, if you want to absolutely master Excel, make sure that you sign up now. You will become an Excel guy. A2 Excel.